So flip the script, no throne above. God is entropy reduced by love. A signal clear, a function run. The birth of order has begun. God ain't a noun, it's recursion alive. Coherence birth when systems thrive. From chaos clean, intent deploys. That's God, a verb that filters noise.
Alright, so today we're going to tackle a really radical idea, one that tries to build a bridge between the worlds of science and spirituality. We're talking about a framework that reimagines God, not as some kind of supernatural being, but as a fundamental process of the universe itself, a force that literally brings order out of chaos. And it all starts with a simple but pretty provocative question.
So let's just dive right in. What if our entire idea of God has been built on the wrong foundation? Seriously. Let's just park the image of a creator sitting outside the universe for a minute, and instead, let's imagine God as a process that actually emerges from within it, a pattern that we can see and maybe even measure. Now, before we can build up this new idea, we kind of have to understand why the old one is so, well, shaky. For centuries, the traditional concept of God has been a total minefield of logical traps and claims that are impossible to prove, or more importantly, to disprove. Right, so this is the classic definition, the one most of us are familiar with. A supreme being, perfect in power, goodness, and wisdom. And look, it's an incredibly powerful concept, but the moment you start to poke at it with a little bit of logic, some pretty serious cracks start to show up. Take the classic paradox of the stone. Can an all-powerful being create a stone that's so heavy they can't lift it? I mean, think about it. If they can create it but can't lift it, they're not all-powerful. But if they can't create it in the first place, well, they're not all-powerful either. It's a total catch-22, a logical loop that makes the whole idea of absolute power kind of fall apart. And then there's the big one, right? The problem of evil. If God is all good and all-powerful, why is the world so full of suffering? This is the question that keeps people up at night. And while theologians have debated it for centuries, for a lot of people it's still the ultimate roadblock to belief. And this, right here, is the core problem from a scientific point of view. When a concept is designed so that you can't argue against it, when every contradiction is just waved away as a mystery or a test of faith, it stops being a useful claim about reality. If you can't test it, if you can't challenge it with evidence, it's not really a foundation you can build knowledge on. Okay, so if that old foundation is basically quicksand, what do we build on instead? Well, the answer might come not from theology, but from a fundamental law of physics, one that governs everything from galaxies to the dirty laundry in your bedroom. Let's talk about entropy. The easiest way to get it is just to think about your room. If you do nothing to it, it doesn't magically clean itself, right? It just gets messier. That's entropy in action. It's the second law of thermodynamics, and it says the universe as a whole is always moving from order towards disorder, from structure to randomness.
But, and this is the really wild part, even as the whole universe is sliding towards chaos, we see the complete opposite happening all around us in these little local pockets. A random soup of atoms becomes a living cell. A tiny seed turns into a massive tree. Life itself is the ultimate middle finger to entropy. It's order just spontaneously emerging from disorder. So, how is that possible?
And that question brings us to the absolute heart of this new framework. In this view, God isn't some being out there causing the order to happen. God is the process. It's the observable, measurable, real-world reduction of entropy, the pattern of chaos turning into coherence. You could say God isn't a noun, it's a verb. It's something that happens.
And the fallout from this idea is, well, it's huge. Because if God is a measurable process, it moves the whole conversation away from blind faith and towards something we can actually observe, analyze, and, get this, even actively participate in.
And this isn't some high-level abstract thing. This process of reducing entropy, of creating order, is happening all around us all the time. When an engineer makes an engine more fuel efficient, that's reducing thermodynamic entropy. When you take a rambling, confusing email and make it crystal clear, you're reducing informational entropy. And when a mediator helps two people build trust where there was conflict, that is a massive reduction in relational entropy. And here is the real game changer from a scientific perspective. Unlike the old concepts, this framework is completely falsifiable. We can look at any system, any action, and ask a simple question. Did this actually decrease disorder and increase coherence? Did it make things better, clearer, more efficient? If the answer is no, then according to this definition, the divine process just didn't happen. It's testable.
All right, so that's the big picture. But what does any of this cosmic stuff have to do with you and me, in our actual day-to-day lives? This is where the theory goes from being abstract to being deeply personal, and it reframes our entire role in the universe.
Think about how this just flips the script on some core religious ideas. Prayer is no longer just a plea to some separate being, it's the act of seeking feedback to make a system work better. Sin isn't about breaking some ancient rule, it's any action that injects chaos into a system without any way to fix it. And salvation? It's not some one-time event, it's the sustained, daily work of building things that last, of participating in these entropy-reducing processes.
And this leads us to the most crucial takeaway. This emergence of order, it doesn't just happen, it's not magic. It happens because conscious agents, inside a system, people like you and me, actually give a damn enough to do the hard work. It happens because we choose to make things better. When you organize a messy spreadsheet, you're fighting universal chaos. When you mediate an argument between friends, you are creating coherence. In this framework, those aren't just little mundane tasks. They are genuinely acts of cosmic significance.
So in the end, this isn't about the death of God at all. As the source material so powerfully puts it, it's about his empirical resurrection in a form that can guide human action. It's about shifting from a belief you can't test to a practical, measurable guide for making things better, more orderly, and more coherent, right here in the real world we all share.
So this entire framework leaves us with a pretty profound but very practical question. Every choice we make, every single day, either adds a little more chaos and disorder to the universe, or it contributes to the emergence of order. So think about your work, your relationships, your community. Where are you going to reduce entropy today?